In 3, 2, 1.
Доброго дня.
Hello.
Розпочинаємо
We are
засідання.
starting
У засіданні
the
беруть участь
joint session, and at this meeting, in this session, we have participation of the PCIe members, Robert Hein Brockhuizen, the chair of the PCIe, and Norman Aus remotely. Let's check whether Norman and Mary are online or not with us, because we don't see them on our screen.
А зв'язок з ним є?
Are they here? Have they joined?
Окей, для встановлення зв'язку з
In order to confirm that there is on. So, the session engages members of the PCIe members, Robert Hein Brockhuizen, the chair of the PCIe, Norman Aus remotely, Mary Kay Butler remotely, Gabriel Jutkate Gruskieni, Jessica Lott Thompson, John J. O'Sullivan, and also members of the HQCJ are present here at this session. Михайло Баганіц, Єрмила Волькова, Ярослав Дух, Роман Кедисюк, Надія Кабецька, Ігор Кушнил, Олексій Камелян, Андрій Пасічник, Сергій Сидорович, Чумак, and Olena Shevchuk. And I'm the chair of the HQCJ, and Katerina Androshenko as the secretary is present here. We have a quorum, and I'm announcing the session to be opened, and the agenda for today to confirm compliance or non-compliance of candidates for the positions of HC judges, and the list of candidates for today: Matolych Vita Vasylivna, Mowchan Dmytro Valentinovich, Zaytsev Alexey Volodymyrovich, and Yatsenina Marta Maria Sergeyevna. There are no other suggestions. Please vote who is for this agenda. We have unanimous decision. The listed agenda is approved. Let's move to consideration of our first point of the agenda. Please invite the candidate.
Доброго дня.
Good morning. The issue of compliance of the candidate for the position of the HC judge, Matolych Vita Vasylivna, with Part 4, Article 8 of the Law of on the High Anti-Corruption Court. We have here members of the PCIe, Robert Brockhuizen, chair of the PCIe, Mary Kay Butler remotely, Roman Aus remotely, Gabriel Jutkate Gruskieni, Jessica Lott Thompson, John J. O'Sullivan. And we have also representatives of the HQCJ, Pasechnik Andrei, Chumak Sergey, Duh Yaroslav, Кадисюк Роман, Кушнір Ігор, Амелян Олексій, Сабаташ Роман, Цитарович Руслан, Колюш Олег, and Olena Shevchuk. So you have a right to submit a self-recusal, to express suggestions, concerns, objections, and challenge decisions of the Commission according to legislation. Do you have any recusals? No. And we have a rapporteur on this candidate, Mr. Chumak. Please, over to you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Vita. I will report swiftly about you, and then I give the floor to our PCA members. They will start asking you first, and then it will be followed by questions from my side, and then all other Commission members will have a right to ask you questions. So, Matolych Vita Vasylivna was appointed as a judge of the Nadbryanski District Court of Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast since July 21st, 2020. And with the order of 20th July 2020, she was appointed since July 21. She took oath on that day. Do we understand correctly that you consider all types of cases at your work? You don't have any specialization, yeah? I don't have specialization, so you consider all cases. Okay. Before working as a judge for 8 years, since 2012 to 2020, she has worked as a judge's assistant with the Mykolaiv District Court of Lviv region. Before it, she worked as a consultant at the 6th Lviv State Notary Office. Is it right? Yeah. So it was not for a long period of time, but it was there in your track record. And she has also worked for a short period of time, around a year, and the Anti-Monopoly Committee. Is it right? Yes. Let's continue. She was delegated to the Joint Congress of Judges in the Ivano-Frankivsk region, nominated from the Nadbryanski District Court. She submitted an application for participation in the competition to the High Anti-Corruption Court and its appellate chamber. She was successfully passing the qualification exam, and she was admitted to the next stage. The general result of the qualification exam is 346.62 points. So that's a short report from my side, and I give the floor to Mr. Robert. Mr. Robert, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now give the floor to your rapporteur, the PCIe, and that's Gabrielle. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So, hello, dear Vita Vasylivna. It's nice to have you here. And I will start with some short introduction. First of all, I would like to emphasize that the PCIe is the institution which should help High Qualification Commission of Judges to check integrity and other things. And from our opinion, integrity means not only impartiality, among others, but also honesty, transparency, and clarity. In this aspect, how you can comment your responses to the questionnaire? Most of them are the type of look by yourselves. How can you explain? For example, according to the income, you say that if such income is defined in the tax register, so it's true. So how can we understand such response?
The issue is that I don't have any data for the whole period of my work. I don't have any data regarding my income, and I didn't have enough time to provide response. So it means I didn't have enough time to make relevant requests to check whether it corresponded to the reality. Dear candidate, I'm sorry. Please don't be so in rush, because we have an interpretation also of your speech. So at the same time, we realize that such powers are gained by the HKCJ members and the PCIM members. So if you provide such information, do you think that is correct? I agree with it.
Thank you. So as a judge, you do not need to fill up declaration and have no right to check your personal accounts in the tax register or so on. Is it so difficult to do such things?
I fill in regularly declarations.
Okay. Thank you. So another
Я перепрошую, справа в тому, що ви
I'm
брали
sorry.
дохід
That, you took the pro income from the whole period of my working experience. At certain positions, I was not subject of declarations, so the income which is filled in my declarations corresponds to the reality. I checked it. But starting 2008, I was not always at the positions subjected to declarations. And till that moment, when I submitted first declaration, I just don't have this data stored.
Okay. Another question is regarding your motivation. You gave us explanation that your personal motivation is progress, one word, professional, also one word. So what is your motivation to become the high anti-corruption court judge, and how can you explain your professional suitability to work as a high anti-corruption judge?
Моя мотивація особистісний і професійний розвиток.
My motivation is personal and professional development, career growth. I think that it's clear for any person who develops themselves in their profession. They would like to gain a higher position with some time. They would like to take harder, more challenging functions and responsibilities. As a judge, I consider criminal proceedings. I do different rulings and verdicts. I have relevant experience in criminal proceedings regarding specific category of cases considered by the High Anti-Corruption Court or regarding corruption offenses. I don't remember such cases under my consideration. Regarding criminal offenses related to corruption, even this year, there has been already considered one case, and another case is still under my consideration.
Thank you. And so you think these cases have some specifics, anti-corruption cases? You said that you have several of them.
These
are cases which are also under jurisdiction of the High Anti-Corruption Court. That's Article 366 with Mark 3.
Okay, thank you. And now I would like to go to another question related to your real estate or no real estate near the court. In your declaration from 2020 and 2023, you said that you have no real estate near the place of work, yes? And you live in Lviv city, and you are going to the court by public transport. So please explain your daily routine commuting the work.
Roughly 5:30. So at 5:30, that's an international bus which I take, and the duration of commuting from Lviv to Ivano-Frankivsk, and because there is we have only buses from Lviv to Ivano-Frankivsk, and then from another bus from Ivano-Frankivsk to Nadvirna. Yes, there is another bus, direct bus from Lviv to Nadvirna, but the schedule is not comfortable for me. I can't use it. So when I get to Ivano-Frankivsk, then I use another public transportation to get to another bus station, where I take another bus to Nadvirna. There is no specific schedule. They just leave the bus station each 15 minutes. So when I get to Ivano-Frankivsk, I just take the first bus and go to Nadvirna.
And how long does it take?
Roughly 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer, because that's a road which takes 2 changes of buses, so I can't influence it.
And how many days per month you are traveling in such a way?
As of now, roughly once or twice per week, I spend the night in Nadvirna, and then all other days I return back to home. Everything depends on my workload. If I have this opportunity to return back home, I do it. If the consideration of a case ends very late at the day, or because if I don't have enough time to draft the decision and submit it to the register, to the system, I need to spend more time, and I don't have time to return back home, and I spend the night there.
Yes, but I was asking not about nowadays, but 2023. How often you went as a young judge?
Там була дещо інша
There
ситуація.
was a situation with different. So before I was appointed as a judge, I started my postgraduate studies. And when I was a postgraduate student, I was appointed as a judge. And when I worked as a judge assistant, I managed to combine my studies with my work. I didn't need additional day offs during the week. I just used the annual leave which was allocated for me, and I used it in order to have my graduate exams, to work on my studies and on my thesis and so on, and to complete my studies. But when I I've been working in the Nadvirna settlement. Of course, I didn't have enough time because I commuted, I spent it on commuting. So I used provisions of legislation on leaves, and they assigned me with additional day off during a week in order to allow me combining the studies with my work. And I also used other learning days off. Sorry, Madam Vita. Again, in your interest, I think, please speak slower for our interpreters to manage to interpret everything, what you want to share with the PCA members. If I may, dear Madam Vita, so please say a sentence and stop, because you speak very quickly and interpreters can't follow you, and the PCA members then will manage to hear all information which you want to tell them. So please be more concise and not so in rush, because we follow the agenda. We have so many candidates ahead. So the Wednesday, it was an additional day off for me, and my working days were only Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday. So it's also simplified my situation.
Thank you. And you also explained that if there were necessity, you stayed in the hotels in Nadvirna, yes. But you gave no evidence for that. In what form then do you pay in the hotels?
I tried to get these documents. The hotel where I spent some nights, as the one which was mentioned, the first one, it's under repairing works right now. And since 2024, I have not been using their services, so I don't know when those repair works have started and whether it's functioning or not at all. Another hotel, I reached out to them, and they answered that they don't have such documents for that period of time. But so they explained to me that if I need it for compensation purposes, they can issue the receipt for me right now if I give them some dates when I spent the night. So I refused from such option because I need some documents that they stored, not the receipts that they could issue to me right now.
Yes, but I asked in what form do you pay it? In bank, by the card or in cash?
Я сплачувала готівкою.
I was paying in cash. In the first hotel, that was a very small hotel. It's just like one person there at the entrance, and documentation was just in the form of an ordinary notebook where they recorded all the visitors. There was no opportunity to pay by card there. The other hotel is bigger, but when I stayed there for the first time, I was asking whether they had a chance to pay by card, and back then they didn't have a terminal in the hotel. So that's why subsequently I knew that if I'm staying there, I need to have some cash funds with me so that I could pay for the hotel.
So thank you. Now I would like to go to the access to the register of court decision. We found that in 2018 you search for decision using names of the person or phones of the person. How can you explain that?
By names, the search can be carried out not only in full access mode, but that also can be done through the general access mode. So for that, you didn't need to have some additional access rights. That can be done at the website of the judiciary to enter a full name plus additional data. And after that, all the cases regarding this person would be showed in the search request, and there would be connections with the register of court decisions. With respect to the phone numbers, given that this was 2018, all of these phone numbers are owned by my family members. I cannot recall why I was searching for that, but as I'm analyzing that, I do not see which decisions could be found by phone numbers. Probably the search was without any results, and there was no information based on this search.
But do you know the Article 7 of the law on access of court decision that in public availability there were no possibility to search by the phone numbers?
No, there is none, but through full access, the search will produce no results either. Indeed, I cannot recall what was the reason for that search, but basically this research cannot produce any results. If you enter the phone number again, you will see that what I'm saying is accurate.
Yes, but in 2018 you was only a judge's assistant, not judge yet. So you have the access to full register of court decisions. Thank you. Now I have several questions about your PhD work. So you already started to explaining us that you have the chance to combine your work with PhD studies. But could you please explain why do you decided to study for PhD? What was the reason?
I became a participant of the competition for the position of the judge in 2017. Approximately 2 years later, in summer, I got references. But our competition, the decision on announcement of the competition was challenged in court, and the Supreme Court quashed the decision on announcement of that competition. I thought that probably that competition would not have any positive results, and accordingly, I would not get an appointment. That's why I decided to look for my potential in another sphere. Through judicial proceedings, the competition was delayed for about a year. After that, the Grand Chamber of the Supreme Court quashed the decision of the Cassation Administrative Court, and the competitive procedures were resumed, and accordingly, I was appointed to the position in 2020. So, back when I was entering the postgraduate studies, I did not know that I would be appointed as a judge. So I decided to choose another sphere and to realize myself in another sphere.
Thank you. And how you selected the topic of your research?
At first, my academic supervisor suggested several topics to me. These were 3 topics, with respect to which I could conduct my research. I analyzed literature sources, most recent developments regarding those topics, and I chose this one. That was with the support of my academic supervisor.
So could you please give us several hypotheses of your work that you defended?
Okay, let it be hypothesis related to this particular competition. With respect to that, I had a research about the notion of a whistleblower. And accordingly, I've established that the definition of the notion of whistleblower that is provided in the Criminal Procedure Code is a bit narrower than the one that is provided in the law on the corruption prevention. So, accordingly, it is connected to the professional activities of the whistleblower's activities. And under these circumstances, I had some comments and remarks, given that the person who has a specific professional direction of work can also be connected by the duty to preserve some professional secrecy, in particular attorney's secrecy. According to the legislation, that is information access to which, Madam Vita, again the same, please, slower. mixed up. Okay, that's let interpreters interpret. Make a small pause, please. That is information access to which is prohibited. Accordingly, if the person is using guarantees of the whistleblower in the criminal proceeding, the identity of this person is confidential, cannot be disclosed, and no negative consequences with respect to this person in terms of professional activities in connection with whistleblowing of the criminal corruption offense cannot be applied. So, in this case, the secrecy is disclosed, the right for defense is violated, and without introduction of amendments to the legislation, it would be impossible to eliminate this violation. That was one of my hypotheses.
Thank you. It's enough. So you not provided the articles, so please explain.
In the request, there was a request to provide these articles in the format of doc or docs. During the studies, for the purposes of my studies, I had to save them in PDF format based on the publication where it was published. Accordingly, PDFs are available, but the format that was requested by the Commission is not something that I have. And given your second request about the article that was co-authored, I provided just a draft of my article.
Yes, but
So
you could give in any other format, not only docs. It's just the format.
Probably then I've misunderstood, and I can provide PDFs.
Maybe, but there is no necessity because it sounds very strange that you have no in any format, as we understand. For example, I have all my articles since 2003, so it's very strange to know that you cannot give in docs even format. Going to another issue, it's about the apartments that you acquired in 2014. Could you provide from what funds you acquired these apartments?
I provided the explanation. These were my savings of my husband, besides savings of my parents and my husband's parents, as well as funds that were gifted during our wedding.
So you gave all your savings to acquire this apartment, yes. But still in 2016, you already also gave us explanation that you have additional savings. How it is possible that you buy apartment and afterwards, and we can understood that not new ones, but you still have some savings.
Ця квартира була оплачена.
That apartment was paid for, if I recall correctly, in 2012. It was just investment into construction, and the right of ownership was registered later. So during the period from 2012 until the moment of the first submission of the declaration, for the first year when we were declaring, that was the first year when this amount exceeded the threshold that was subject for declaration.
Okay, but after 2020, when you become a judge, you have bigger salaries, there were no savings. How can you explain this?
В мене йдуть витрати на дорогу, на проживання.
I have expenses on travel and accommodation. These are additional expenses. Moreover, I'm fully financially supporting my parents. So if they need any funds, they are asking me, and I'm providing these funds to them. And this way, right now, of course, I have some small funds, but I do not have this sustainable amount that would remain unchanged throughout a specific period of time. No, I do not have this amount of savings.
So thank you. I finished from my side.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I'm just looking at my colleagues.
Yes.
Jessica, please go ahead.
Good day. Thank you for attending the hearing today and speaking with us. I've heard my colleague, Ms. Gabrielle, ask you many questions about your answers to our written questions to you. All of the members of the PCIE have an opportunity to review your written questions, and it's an opportunity for us to learn more about you and to receive not only factual information from you, but also a general sense of your understanding of the professional concepts of transparency and forthrightness and communication, thorough communication about the details that we are asking you. I've heard your answers today that you did not have adequate time or many reasons why you did not provide fulsome answers. Sometimes your answers were a single word when perhaps paragraphs of information with supporting documents would be the expectation. Can you please explain why your candidacy is so different from the many applicants who took the time to submit thorough and detailed information, entire paragraphs of details and materials and supporting documents? Why is your candidacy so different?
Я не вважаю, що я чимось відрізняюся від інших кандидатів.
I do not believe that I'm so different from other candidates. We are undergoing all the competitive procedure stages, and I've provided the information that I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Norman, you have a question? No? Mary? No? Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Дякую.
Thank you. Mr. Serhiy, please. Thank you, Mr. Andrei. Madam Vita, I have several questions to you, in particular in continuation of what Gabriela just said and Jessica asked the last question. So basically, I will follow up on that. Of course, you read the law on the Anti-Corruption Court, in particular Part 4 of Article 8, and you know what is the goal of the special joint meeting. In particular, in order to establish such a criterion as honesty. That's what members of the PCIE were asking you about as well. And my questions will be basically concerning the same. So again, I would like to remind you that during this joint meeting, we are establishing compliance with the criterion of honesty, and one of the elements of that is honesty, right? So Again, I'm reminding you that.
21 квітня
On April 21st, not my question, on the April 21st of 2023, according to the ruling of Ivano-Frankivsk City Court, you were a participant of a traffic accident, driving undeclared vehicle Toyota RAV4, and you did not declare it. But the traffic accident in the city of Ivano-Frankivsk was committed by you. You were admitted as guilty of committing this offense, and you were driving this particular vehicle. Tell me, please, what were you doing in Ivano-Frankivsk on that day?
Їхала на роботу.
I was going to work. You were going to work. Yes.
Скажіть, будь ласка,
Tell me, please,
зазвичай маршрут?
what is the usual route of your travel?
На цьому транспортному засобі
Using this vehicle on that day, I was picking up my colleague in the morning, who back then lived in Ivano-Frankivsk. Madam Vita, my question was completely different. What is your usual route? How you usually get to work? I do not get to work by car, so that was the only time, and you got into a traffic accident. Yes, you are aware of saying truth right now. Okay, what was your route that you were taking on that day? I'm warning you that we have other information, so that once I would like to warn you. Okay, I'm very frank and open with telling you that. And that day, I was staying with my parents. I do not remember the reasons for that. From Stry to Nadvirna, there is no connection. So the only way that I could use to get to my workplace was to take this car. Sometimes, if these situations happen, my mother is driving me to Dolina, and accordingly, there is a direct bus to Ivano-Frankivsk from Dolina, and then I can switch the bus to Nadvirna. On that particular day, I do not remember what was the situation, but I took this car and I was driving on my own because there was no other transport from that. So, you were in Stry, right? Yes, in the town of Stry. Okay, you were in the town of Stry, and I've asked you for the route. From Stry to Dolina, and then around Kalush, and then I do not know villages, Ivano-Frankivsk. Yes, just big towns. Stry, Dolina, Kalush, Ivano-Frankivsk, and then Nadvirna. Yes. And the car is registered in your mom's name. It's not registered. She is the owner of that car all the time. Okay, thank you. That's what I meant, of course. Since when? Since the moment when it was bought, it has always been owned by my mom. Madam Vida, tell me, since when? Year? Can you name the year? You're answering all the questions in such a way that indeed, please. I do not recall the date of purchase of the car, but I did not take part in the purchase of this vehicle. It was purchased after my mother got the driving license. I know that for sure. Approximately a year after that.
В мене немає цих документів, не можу. Ці документи зберігаються в батьків. Якщо в мене комісія попросила ці документи, я б їх надала.
До того, що у вас комісія попросила і що ви не надали, це ще буде попереду питання. Скажіть, будь ласка, як часто ви користуєтесь цим автомобілем?
So, how often do you use this car?
Немає перекладу.
Interpreter, Shane, does it work right now? So, how often do you use the car? Please repeat again your question.
Я періодичність вказати не можу.
I can't give you how often I use this car because indeed it happens sporadically.
Скажіть, будь ласка,
Tell me, please. So, do you live in Lviv? Yes.
хто до кого їздить? Ви до
And who visits whom? You visit parents or your parents visit you? No, I visit my parents.
яким транспортом?
How do you visit them? I visit them using public transportation.
Ну, відповідно до
Does it mean that according to information available For the Commission, dozens of times it was documented how this vehicle was driving to the road Lviv-3, because my parents have an apartment in Lviv. But at the very beginning, I asked you, who visit whom? And you answered that I visit my parents using public transportation. And then I'm asking you, why dozens of times there is a documented fact that this vehicle was on the highway Lviv-3. My parents have an apartment in Lviv, and they go there to their apartment, and sometimes they visit also us, but not only us. So they have also their property in Lviv. Okay, thank you. And tell me, in our request, the Commission asked you to provide the copy of your mom's driving license, if it exists. We have also asked you to provide the copy of insurance documents for the vehicle, and also receipts or confirmation of bank payments regarding insurance. Out of those 3 documents requested, you have provided us only with insurance documents and driving license also. Sorry, I didn't see it. So I have a confirmation that I sent this document via my personal mail. Maybe you just didn't print it out. Yeah, maybe we see only the reverse back. No, I sent the full document, the full driving license. Now I see it. No, that's not that. I have only the reverse side of the driving license. Maybe the front page of the driving license was not printed out. Okay, so it's saying when it was replaced. So that's why I also attached the reverse side of the driving license. Yeah, we see when it was issued. Okay, and tell me why you failed to provide confirmation on who paid for it, for the insurance, because my parents don't have it. Broadcast is back in 3, 2, 1. Let's continue. So thank you. So, these were years 2023, 2024. It's not like 13 years ago. It was not 2012, 2013, when you needed to come to the insurance office in person to pay there offline. Now you can do it online using bank card. Why is it? What's the problem to receive a bank record from the bank institution that it was paid from the card of your mom? So, my mom is an elder person. My mom and my dad, they do not use banking cards. They just withdraw cash, mainly. Now, does it mean that you insist that they in person visited an insurance office and there they concluded the insurance agreement? I don't know how the agreement was concluded. I know only that they do not store the receipts of payment. They are not subject to declaration. No, it's not about that. Based on your insurance document, it's clear, we can see that there is no physical signatures of parties to the contract. So it means that this insurance contract was concluded online, because when you visit an office offline, you will have signatures there. I don't know then why you failed to clarify it. I asked what my parents have. My parents sent me even photos. So, it's not even a PDF document. I didn't see those documents offline physically. These are just what I have. Okay, Madam Vita. We have certain situation that you were in a car accident using undeclared vehicle. So it's obvious. Then you're applying for the position of a judge in a court, which is under increased attention, both to the state and to the public. And here we have also engaged representatives of the international experts community. So you are realizing it, yeah? Why the PCIe participates in this process? Because there is an increased attention to the high anti-corruption court. That's why, indeed, it causes, surprise, and when you refuse to provide answers to obvious questions, when the insurance documents were produced in 2024, and there are no confirmation receipts of payment. To my opinion, it could raise reasonable doubt regarding your honesty, because, it's quite hard to imagine that it was in 2024, 2025. It's quite to imagine that there is no confirmation receipt for payment of this insurance. That's what provided to me by my parents. They told me that they don't have any other documents. It means that I cannot check this information regarding documents that I have directly. I have provided her even with some confirmation receipts back of 2012. Then let's go back to how. So you have been renting an apartment since 2024. No, I don't rent that apartment. Why? That's not rent thing. That's based on verbal agreement, yeah? Yes. Free of charge, yes. Since which year? I think it was back in 2094, and I mentioned the date in the declaration when first in 2024 I used it as an accommodation object. And what had been there before, during 4 years, starting 2020 to 2024. Please give us details, how all your work was carried out during those 4 years. You don't have your own vehicle, you didn't have your property in ownership or usage in any kind during those years. No, I had never had. It's hard to believe. Each day you spend 3 hours for commuting each day, but that's Google gives you 3 hours, but it's always more. You go there, go back, stay a little bit late at work. 7 hours each day for commuting. It's hard to believe. I'm frank with you. It was my personal station, individual station. When I was recommended by the High Qualification Commission back in 2019, so at that moment we planned relocation together with my family to the city of Ivano-Frankivsk, and then it would be okay for me to commute to get there. It's not far away. It would be relevant distance as when I worked as a judge assistant in Mykolaiivsky district. What's the distance from Ivano-Frankivsk to Nadvirna? 50 kilometers? I don't know the distance in kilometers, maybe 50 kilometers, maybe 40 kilometers. I don't know. I can't tell you the exact number of kilometers. So, but the competition was delayed in time. Do you mean the competition? The competition for the first instance court, which you have been participating in since April 2017. Yes. So, and when in a year the decision of my appointment there as a judge was finally decided, I already didn't have any opportunity to relocate, and that's why I decided, to solve it like this. Like this, it's how to commute each day. Yes, each day. So, from Lviv to Nadvirna, you commuted each day using public transportation. Yes. And now, the same, almost each day, I commute and get there. I informed about this fact the commission when I submitted my documents for business trips. So tell me, how de facto it happens? How actually it happens? So, train, car, I don't know, BlaBlaCar service, how you do it? At that moment where I didn't have accommodation, these were exclusively buses. It was COVID times, trains didn't go in the right way, the schedule didn't suit me, so the only way was to use the buses. And how long does it take to take a bus in one side? So 2 hours from Lviv to Ivano-Frankivsk. That's 5:30 at the morning, early morning, and there is no traffic, and it means that it's almost no delay. At the evening, yes, there could be delay, but at the morning, usually there is no traffic, so no delays to be expected. So 5:30, at 5:30, you leave Lviv for Ivano-Frankivsk, yeah? So it means that when do you get up at 4? No, I get up at 5 each day. Yes. And when do you get to work? So roughly at 9 a.m. I'm at work. Until what hour do you work? Till I end all my job? If it's needed, I can stay even later than 5 p.m. and then 3 hours back to Lviv. Yes. It means that in total, that you get home 9, 10 p.m. Very likely that 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. 10 p.m. it's quite rarely. Thank you. Maybe I will have another follow-up question regarding this part, but now I will jump to another section. So, Madam Vita, the questions that we are having. So, Nadvernansky court, its workload, it's not that high. As of now, yes. And earlier, it was even less, because because you had business trips and so on to different courts caused by the change of jurisdiction and so on. So the workload was not that high, was quite small. So actually, when I was appointed at that moment at the court, so there were only 3 judges out of 7. That was summer 2020. So you can check this information. No, I'm speaking about last years, after 2022. Yeah, then you're right. But you have 193 decisions with violated terms of the violated deadline for submitting those decisions to the Unified Register. And I wanted to ask you, do you know provisions of legislation? And what actually is the purpose of the law on access to the Unified Register of Court decisions? Yeah, I know it. Then tell me. So its purpose is to have decisions published in time, and for all parties to the decision, to the case, and the public to have access to it. And what's the deadline? Not later than the next day. And look, 2023, when all your business trips had already happened, your appointment had already been there, and 59 decisions were late in submission, and the workload at that moment, 2023, was not that high. Please give me details. Why is it so? Again, I will tell you that in comparison with other judges whom we interviewed, the workload of them is much higher, and they indeed have much more cases when they submitted decisions to the system later than the deadline. But in the Nadverna court, the workload indeed is not that high. What about it? Is it about failure to arrange your work properly, or about lack of understanding? There were circumstances, and I indicated that in 2023, 2024, this was a period when blackouts started, and our court was not insured with alternative options of power supply. Then we were provided with alternative options of power supply, but they provided power supply only to the court session rooms, but they were not used for working places. And I think that's highly likely it was because of it. But if I knew the reference numbers of those cases, then I would have checked and provided you with more detailed information. No, but we have sent you certain information regarding one case where was a panel decision. I provided you a screenshot, and yeah, I submitted it to the register the same day when it was adopted. But the data that we have from the system, it gives us another station. It was a 30-day delay, because if the decision is made by a panel of judges, then it shall be forwarded to the register when the last panel judge signs it. And yeah, you open information, you can see that I opened that ruling at the day of adoption. No, so there was another judge who signed it later. You know, the courts have information about everything, and the unified register has information about all courts, and you have this information at your court regarding this register, but you have received this information from us, and we have needed to inform you about such numbers, about such things and problems, but you thought that it's not necessary for you to provide this information. I received this request with to provide explanations, and I had 2 or 3 days only to provide my explanations. Does correspond to reality, because it was reassignment of cases because of self-recusal of one of the commission members. That's why I was assigned as your rapporteur, and I received your case only 1 week ago. That's why the period of time of your explanations was indeed limited. If situation was different, then you would have had more time for explanations. But I would like to give you some data for 2024, some statistics for 2024. 154 days that you required to consider all the cases and all documents that you received during that year. That's a normal workload per year. That's less days than in a year. But generally speaking, across Ukraine, the general statistics for court workload, 374. It means that average statistics is twice higher than yours workload. Yours, that's also, to have an objective understanding about this station. Yeah, that's why I think that it's highly unlikely to speak about any kind of high workload of yours. Another question from my side.
Tell me, please, how do you understand the following? Why do we include in such a section as references in the application? So that the person who works in this sphere should assess my professional experience and provide some references, knowing me, knowing how I work. For some reason, you did not specify any person who could provide references to you. Can you explain why? Because in the sphere in which I work right now, I do not have any acquaintances who would know me well and who could commend me and say that, yes, I do comply with the criteria and can work and administer justice in the high anti-corruption court. You know what my question is about? Starting from 2012, that's already for 13 years now. You work in the judiciary. You were the assistant of the judge for 8 years, and now that's the 6th year of being a judge. It looks strange when you do not have any people in 13 years who could recommend you. In 2023, when I was applying for participation in the competition for the position of the judge of the Court of Appeal, that is the general jurisdiction court where I work, it was providing references from the head of the court apparatus, who was my direct supervisor at my previous workplace, and I was providing references from the president of the court, who is my immediate supervisor right now. With respect to the anti-corruption sphere, I do not have any acquaintances here who could give me references regarding that. That's why I have not provided them. I will tell you that you misunderstand the point and the essence of this question. The Commission did not mean that some of the judges of the Hague should give you references. No, that's your legal life. Your work in the legal sphere, or maybe even just in life. Your parents can give you references even. It's not like that you're a good person, that you're principled, honest. You are interpreting it wrong. But if you've started talking about this topic, then the Commission denied you in admitting to access to the competition for the Court of Appeal because of the lack of experience. The decision of the Supreme Court was what? They supported your decision. Okay, thank you. Colleagues, I do not have any more questions. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, do you have any other questions? Yes, please. Good morning, Madam Vita. I have a question from the academic sphere. Just like for Madam Gabriela, I was very surprised that you do not have articles in doc format, in Word format. First of all, tell me, please, what are the necessary elements of the academic article? Because they are mandatory, classic, you were publishing them recently, so what are the mandatory elements? Title of the article, information about the author, abstract in English and Ukrainian, introduction, then main text of the article that can be divided into paragraphs and sections, conclusions, and literature sources used. What about the goal? All of that is provided in the introduction. Tell me, please, now briefly as possible, the algorithm of your work while drafting the article. So you agree on a topic with your academic supervisor. For example, I saw like about the type of information, legal mode. What next? No. It was happening slightly differently. My academic activity started from me selecting literature sources. I do not recall how it happened according to my individual plan, but I think I started from the first section of the dissertation, according to my individual plan. I was selecting literature sources. Then, when the literature sources were selected, I was processing them. I was looking where I can find some problem or where I can suggest something new, and then I started working on the text of the thesis. And then I was dividing some part of the thesis. I was drafting the article based on that, and I was given to my academic supervisor. Where? In which application? Word. Okay. And then you just deleted everything. I have drafts. That's what was the question about. In order to understand that we will see when you were editing, when you created the file, etc. That was the purpose. No, I was not asked about drafts of my articles. Okay, you took this part, that can be the approach. You took this part from the dissertation, you turned it into the format of an article, you prepared that as an article according to the requirements with literature sources used, etc. And you stamp this file, this article in that format to the publication for publication. No, at first my academic supervisor, she was, okay, I'm not talking about some draft with notes. That should be this final version of the article that you are sending to the publication. And then they publish it. And then you are getting PDF versions. So what about these formats of articles? Do you have them? In PDF format, yes, I do have them. And I have draft notes on which I was working when I was working on the text of the article. I'm talking about the final version in Word format that was sent to the publication house. Do you have that, or only have some drafts? I have drafts. The final version was saved on my email box. But now, during this period of time, I do not have that in my email inbox. You were drafting these articles in email or what? I was sharing to the academic supervisor, and the academic supervisor sent me the final approved version of the article, and then I sent this version of the article to the publication where I wanted to publish. But you did not save it. You were just forwarding it immediately to the publication. No, she was not editing. She told me first what to change and edit, and then once I correct everything and she had no other remarks, she was sharing with me what she considered as appropriate for print, and then I was sending that. I was also attaching the review. That's what I'm talking about. This final version of not a draft, but the article itself that you were sending to the publication. You did not save it on your computer. No. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Yes, please. I have one more question to you in continuation of this topic of how you are getting to your place of work, because that's quite a sensitive issue. It's difficult for you as a judge to be on the road for 6-7 hours and then to perform your judicial functions. When do you wake up? At 5 a.m. Okay, and when is the bus departing? At 5:30. At 5:30 a.m. Okay. Tell me, please, in which neighborhood do you live? Without naming the street. Shevchenkivsky district. Okay. And where is the bus station? That's either Alitsk crossroads or by the main railway station. So it's enough for you to have 30 minutes to wake up, get dressed, run to the bus, and go to work. No, to the location where the bus is stopping. I'm taking a taxi in there. Okay, tell me please then, is judicial remuneration enough for you to use taxis every day, buses every day? If that's quite expensive nowadays, yes, I can name you figures. The taxi costs approximately 150, 170 hryvnias during this hour of the day. Is it your judicial remuneration enough for that? Yes. And you have enough energy to work in the court, right? I'm doing my best. And you want to convince the commission that you are at your workplace every day. Yes, that is confirmed by records of court hearings every day. Thank you. Okay. Madam Vida, tell us, please. That's happening since 2022 until 2024. That was the way how you were getting to work, yes? And nothing changes, yes? In 2022, when the full-scale invasion started, what about the curfew mode? The curfew mode was a bit different from now. Yes, it was during the curfew hours as well. So you were violating the curfew mode. I had no other choice. And the taxi was working and the public transport was working. Only those drivers of taxi were working who were deferred from mobilization. International buses were going all the time. Okay, thank you. Colleagues, do you have questions? Yes. With respect to declarations, in the declaration of the persons authorized to perform functions of the state for 2024, you are declaring your daughter's right to use an apartment. Okay, I understand. The specified value is 10,000 hryvnias. At the same time, in the register of property rights, we have another value, 1.5 million hryvnias. Do you know? 10,000 hryvnias? Apartment? I'm looking at clause 4. Apartment 1998 acquired. Yes, okay, now I understand your question. Yes, okay. In the city of Stray. At the same time, in the register of property rights, we have another value of this apartment, 1.5 million hryvnias approximately. That's the estimate conducted in 2023. What was the reason for this estimate? In connection with the sale? Probably no. I think that you registered the mortgage agreement there. Maybe it was like that. I cannot give you this information. My question is the following. Your parents work in educational institutions, right? Yes. Do they have entrepreneurial activities? No. Why did they need this credit with this apartment as a collateral? Was this their entrepreneurial activity or someone else's? It was a credit for entrepreneurial activities? I cannot say that. I just see the debt obligation with this apartment as collateral in the amount of $30,000. I do not know about the reasons that. It was a long time ago. Back then I was going to school. I cannot tell you why. You are saying 2003? In 2023, for sure, there was no mortgage. Okay, thank you. And you do not know why your parents didn't tell you that? No? Okay, thank you. Colleagues? Colleagues? Yes. I just want to come back, after all, to trips. Tell me, please. You understand. Maybe we are very thorough, but it is very difficult for us to believe that for 5 years you are spending 7 hours per day just on the road. You are waking up at 5 a.m., you're going, you are coming back at 10 p.m. I don't know. You have to eat something, to do something at home, and then you just need to go to sleep. You cannot live in such a mode for 5 years. Frankly speaking, it's very difficult to imagine that. Please perceive this question normally, okay? Because indeed, that looks a bit strange and not clear that it's happening for 5 years. And the economic appropriateness of that and to live in this mode is impossible. And for how long will it continue? It's not clear. Tell us, please. You said that the competition was delayed, but in fact, back then it was delayed by a month or two. That's not the delay that happened when there was no commission for 4 years. Yes, you got recommendations and you were appointed by the president in 2020. You were under the quota of assistance. 3 months was the period of training in the National School of Judges, and then in October or in September you had this recommendation, right? As far as I understand. No, in August there was recommendation. Okay, moreover. So, Commission managed to submit this recommendation, and you said that you are considering the issue of moving to Ivano-Frankivsk, but then, and that's logical, because to live in Ivano-Frankivsk, to rent an apartment, and to get to work to Nadvirna, that's fine. I understand, that's possible. Maybe it would be difficult to rent something in Nadvirna because it's a small district center. Why aren't you considering this option now? And why did you abandon that option back then? In 2019, my husband had reorganization at work. During the reorganization was an opportunity for him to be transferred to the same position in Ivano-Frankivsk. When interviews were resumed, I do not recall that specifically, but my interview was in late May or June of 2020. Which interview are you talking about? To the HCJ. Okay, HCJ, okay. Because there were no more interviews with the HKCJ. Yes, there were just recommendations based on the course. So that was approximately a year, slightly less than a year, but that opportunity was lost during that year. And now it's impossible as well. I just do not want to mention personal issues here. Okay. But for now, yes. It's easier to spend 7 hours every day. It's not easy, but for now, I do not see any other option. I'm also the participant of the competition for the transfer. Of course, I expected that that competition could be announced sooner, but due to the circumstances that do not depend on me, it happened like that. Okay, thank you. And another question, last question from me. Tell me, please. You said about transportation modes that since it was COVID, the trains were not working. Do you take a train now or do you take a bus? Now their schedule is different. And when I'm departing from the main station, for example, if there are no buses, then I can use a railway transport as well. But right now, it's a very peculiar situation with the trains because of the ongoing challenge. They might be delayed despite having the schedule. No one is warning about this delay in advance. You are just coming to the railway station and then you are being told it's delayed by 30 minutes. You are waiting for 30 minutes and then it turns out that it's delayed for 30 minutes more. So, you know, that's a very difficult situation, but for now it's difficult. That's it? Yes. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We have no more questions. Dear PCAE members, maybe you have some additional questions. May I ask a last question? Yes, sorry. You actually live in the apartment. You have 2 apartments registered, but you actually live in the apartment in Shevchenkivsky district. In that one, yes? Yes, okay, thank you. You've named the number or the area? Okay, yes. Okay, Mr. Robert, maybe you have questions.
I'm just looking at my colleague. Yes, we have one question there.
I would like to ask about these closed cases of drunken drivers. You just started your career as a judge and already have such situations. How you can explain that?
Я не пригадую, чи на запит ГРМ.
I do not remember whether in response to the PCIe or KGZ's request, I found materials of all of those cases and I described the situation with respect to each of the cases. I just do not remember the dates of court hearings, but at the same time, while considering this case, the court is obliged to check the person's position. If the person during the court hearing is stating that the person is not admitting guilt and is providing some facts, then the court has to check these facts, including by means of summoning witnesses, requesting additional documents if the party is motioning that. At the same time, in our district, we had such a situation that police officers were actually ignoring summons to the court. They were failing to appear. They did not explain procedural aspects. Besides, they were not providing, if necessary, additional documents. They were just not providing them, or they were providing them with a delay. Because of that, I do not know the reasons for this position, but at the same time, without that, it was difficult to continue. That's why it happened. In more detail, I described everything in my explanations.
Thank you.
No. I'm looking at the screen. No? Norman? No. No further question on this side, Mr. Chair.
Добре, дякую.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all the questions were asked, all the answers were given. I suggest for you up to a minute to address the Commission, the PCIe members, maybe to provide some additional information. Maybe you want to clarify something, please. Now I have no additional explanations. Thank you. Thank you for your interview. Now I'm announcing the interview over and I'm announcing the